I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV episode number 190. We are back with a batch of steaming hot comics that we think you should check out this week. And I will kick things off with my pick of the week. Star Trek Planet of the Apes, The Prime Directive, issue number 2. I don't think we had a chance to talk about issue number 1. In fact, I know we didn't because it came out the week of Christmas. So, for those of you that are new to this is a company crossover between IDW and Boom Studios. And it basically takes two of the best sci-fi franchises of all time and mashes them together in a way that is so awesome it forms the sci-fi equivalent of the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Just so good. So you've got the original crew of the Enterprise. We're talking classic 1960s Captain Kirk, not the J.J. Abrams reboot action. And they are following the Klingons, and they follow them into some sort of wormhole-y type thing and find out that the Klingons are dealing weapons to the gorillas on the Planet of the Apes. And we're off and running. So the thing I really loved, I liked the first issue. I really liked the second issue because you can tell exactly when the story is taking place. This takes place at the end of the first film. And we get Charlton Heston's character George Taylor in this issue as well. And one of the other things I really dug about it... Did you read this?
I didn't. I read the first issue. I haven't gotten to the second one yet.
Taylor's kind of a douche. and
he's kind of a douche in the movies.
Well, yeah, and you kind of forget about that because he's the hero of the film.
Right.
And he's not really that heroic. You know, and there is a great essay at the end of this written by Dana Gould, and I assume that this is the comedian Dana Gould, who is usually on those VH1 retro talking head shows. Yes. And he basically talks about the differences between Captain Kirk and George Taylor. And as you're reading this issue, you really see those things come to light. So I loved it. I think the characterizations are right on. I'm a huge fan of both of these franchises. And there was really no way that this could not be my pick of the week. So check it out. I highly recommend checking this out. And I think once this is over and done with, obviously it's a miniseries, it's going to make a great collected edition for fans of all ages.
All right, over at Boom Studios, we've got a new number 1, Burning Fields, co-written by Michael Morrissey and Tim Daniel, with art by Colin Lorimer. And this is a story of bad stuff going down in the Middle East. You've got Is
there ever good stuff going down in the Middle East?
Not generally, no. Well, when there is, it's not interesting enough to warrant a story, so... but you've got a body is found tied to one of the oil derricks in an oil field, and in order to investigate the murder, they have to go and contact a former military person who was active in the area previously and has now been discharged and is in stateside. And it's very, you're very classic. They have to go and recruit him like, oh, only you can do it. And it was lots of fun. But apparently the officer has, well, I don't know if she's still an officer. I think she got an honorable discharge.
I don't know if she was military or if she was a contractor.
Like, I got the impression she was military.
Former military, and this is a group of contractors now. I don't know.
Yeah, well now it's it doesn't matter.
They're all contractors.
It's one of those interwoven plots. You've got you've got the legitimate government of the area. You've got U.S. forces in the area. You've got private contractors. You've got gangster kind of oil barony people, and it was really interesting to see the way they interwove and the leverage they used to get the person to investigate. I really liked the characterizations, and I just found it really interesting and I guess relevant to our time.
Okay. We're 3 issues in on the new Spider-Woman series, and the more I read it, the more I like it. The more I think we need to talk about it again. I'm sure we mentioned the first issue when it came out. But this is a continuing tie-in to the Spider-Verse story involving all of the Spider characters who ever were. And written by Dennis Hopeless, art by Greg Land. Greg Land's artwork is actually growing on me. And that was a big stumbling block for me with the first issue, and I know several people, well, I do know several people, but lots of people are not thrilled with the Greg Land style of art. But as I said, it is growing on me now that we're 3 issues in. And Dennis Hopeless's writing is outstanding. I think the way he's writing Jessica Drew and the chance to write Silk and some of these other characters that are in here, it's really a fun, different take on Spider-Woman, which we really haven't seen before. And it's really an important part of the overarching Spider-Verse storyline. So if you're reading Spider-Verse and you haven't checked out Spider-Woman, shame on you. You should go out and pick up the 3 issues. But definitely check out this series. I think it's worth a second look if you took a first look. And if you haven't taken a look, you should take a look at Spider-Woman. Man.
But don't look back.
Don't look back. Don't look back in anger. What?
And just as a public service announcement,
yes.
chronology is super wonky this week. So you want to read Scarlet Spiders first. I'm not saying you have to read Scarlet Spiders, but if you're going to, read it first.
If you're reading the Spider-Verse stuff, you want to go
Scarlet
Spiders first,
and then
Spider-Woman.
Spider-Woman and Amazing Spider-Man interweave
okay, read
a little
the
bit.
first 3 pages of Spider-Woman, and then read Amazing Spider-Man up until a certain point. But anyway, yes.
But yeah, Spider-Woman and Amazing can kind of be interchanged, but Scarlet Spiders will definitely be spoiled if you read Amazing first.
Yes.
And then Team Up should be read probably after Spider-Verse, or the regular Amazing issue.
A palate cleanser.
Yeah. Because, yeah.
Seeing Aunt May as the spider totem in that universe will cleanse your palate and your colon.
With the bran muffin, yes. Next up from Image, we've got Ivar, Timewalker, written by Fred Van Lente with art by Clayton Henry. And this is the part of the show where I talk about something that no one will actually read, and it will be canceled in 15 issues. But that's okay, because it's still good. Yeah. I mean, Archer and Armstrong was good, and it made it, what, 20? 25? But this is a new launch. Now I'm not sure about this. Was Ivar a character?
The projectile vomit almost came out of Josh's face.
I vomit when I think about Timewalker getting canceled. Was this property existent in the old Valiant?
This is a new title, and it's honestly one of the only reasons why I read it.
Because it wasn't
it's not tied into what else is going on in the Valiant universe, with the exception.
Except it is.
Yeah, well, you see, Bloodshot is in there and some other stuff. Is there other?
Well, right. Well, Ivar the Timewalker is the oldest of the 3 Annie-Patty brothers.
Oh, Annie-Patty brothers.
So Abram, who's Archer from Archer and Armstrong, is one of the other brothers.
Oh, okay.
And then the Eternal Warrior, whose name eludes me at the moment, is the 3rd brother. So he's the eldest of the 3. And it was a lot of fun. I love Fred Van Lente, that's no secret.
He does.
And I especially liked the way, basically what we have in this is an immortal being who leaps through time, tries to get a human companion to go with him somewhere. So it's Doctor Who, and it was really good. I liked it. But I especially liked the dialogue on the human researcher that he kind of strong arms into traveling through time with him. A lot of times, especially when you get scientists and researchers, they're written a specific way. You know, they don't use slang. They seem very rigid. And this was a much more human, realistic portrayal that I really enjoyed. And of course, there's time travel, so you get to see all sorts of different time periods. Even in this issue, they leap from time to time to time. And I just thought it was a breath of fresh air.
I agree. This was a contender for my pick of the week this week, which totally blindsided me because I did not think I would enjoy it. But I'm giving Fred Van Lente the benefit of the doubt because of his skill as a writer, and because as with Josh, I don't love Fred Van Lente. He loves him. I like a lot of what he writes. Josh stalks him outside his apartment in New York City and waits for him to come out.
It's time to change your water filter, Fred.
He left you something in your toilet. Ivar Timewalker, again, something that I'm sure many of you are just going to walk past on the stands, but you should absolutely check it out. Valiant is publishing some really good stuff, but not a lot of people are reading it, at least not a lot of people locally. So, and I like to think that we are a good indicator of what's happening on a national level. So you really should check out Ivar Timewalker. The other thing the connection I made, I didn't make the Doctor Who connection, but after you said it, it made a lot of sense. I kept thinking Voyagers, the classic 1980s TV series starring John Eric Hexam and his little device that flashed red and green, and the little curly-haired boy from Bad News Bears was his sidekick. Yes, seek out Voyagers. It aired for 1 season.
It's on DVD.
It's on DVD, and I think it might be out of print, but that's kind of what I thought of. Okay, Millenium is here. The Millenium is here with us tonight. Millenium. So IDW has the X-Files license, and now they are publishing a series based on the Fox TV show Millenium, which was a distant cousin to X-Files. It was produced and created by Chris Carter, who created the X-Files. And I don't recall if there was actually an official crossover between the X-Files and Millennium on TV. But on the cover of this issue, we have Fox Mulder and the
Old
dude
guy
from
number one.
Lance Henriksen playing Frank Black was his name. Yes. On Millennium. So I'm bringing this up for 2 reasons. Number 1, I haven't read it. Actually, 3 reasons. I have not read the comic, but I feel like it's a public service to those of you that are enjoying the IDW X-Files comic. You may not be aware that there's a Millennium comic, and it is here. Number 2, there is a rumor floating around there that the X-Files is returning to television with Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny. So you might want to get on this train now and check out the Millennium train. If you're a fan of the show, pick up the comic. That's all I have to say.
And last up, we're going to go with my pick of the week.
Oh, wait, I had one more.
Oh, you have one more? I'm sorry.
I had one more I was supposed to tell people about, which, again, I haven't read yet because it just came out, but it's worth noting that March Volume 2 is now available. This is written by Congressman John Lewis, who is, I believe, the sole surviving speaker of the March on Washington, the Civil Rights March on Washington, most famous for Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. But I mentioned that for a variety of reasons. Number 2, the first volume was really, really good, and I think every person in America should read it. Number 2, this week was Martin Luther King Day, and number 3, Selma is playing in theaters. So there's...
But not being nominated for Oscars.
Yes, if you're looking for your civil rights fix, especially in this time when it's very timely. This is what happens when we record late in the afternoon. I can't make words work. But I'm looking forward to reading it. As I said, I really enjoyed March Volume 1. If you're local, I'll be doing a review of March Volume 1 with the morning show people on the TV, Jeff Gunner and Julian Tikaram, on Monday morning, this coming Monday, the Monday.
Also,
the 21st, right? So
yeah,
that would make it the 26th. Monday, January 26th, probably between 6:30 and 7 a.m. You can see it.
Oh, yeah.
Are we saying? What were we going to say?
No, I was going to say, if you are local and come in and pick up a copy of either March Volume 1 or March Volume 2 this week, you will get a free reproduction of the Montgomery story, a period comic book talking about the civil rights.
The comic book that inspired John Lewis to write his story
Oh,
as a comic book, as a graphic novel.
Cool.
So, yeah.
For frees.
Yeah. It's a $5 comic. Yeah. For 16 pages.
All right, but seriously, my pick this week.
Yes.
Is Batman and Superman number 18, written by Greg Pak with art by Ardian Syaf. That's what it is.
I'd like to know how to say that guy's name.
Syaf?
First or last.
Can we just start putting title pages in books again? That'd be great. All right, written by someone, drawn by somebody else.
It's written by Greg Pak?
I said Greg Pak.
Yeah? Does that say more? Or it says Hope?
Hope, yes. Anyway, this is the continuing story of someone targeting the people close to Superman, and every issue of this story has been great. I've really enjoyed this arc. It started back in, I believe, 16, and if you have the opportunity, you should totally go back and pick them up. But this issue especially was awesome because we see Batman bringing the Batman. He attempts to lure the assassin out using Lois Lane, and the payoff from that whole thing was great. I saw it coming to a certain extent, but it was still incredibly emotionally resonant for me because I'm a huge fanboy. But if you like Batman and Superman, if you like superheroes who are friends, if you like Super Friends, if you like Aquaman on a seahorse.
And I'm not reading this, but I want to read this, and whether it's in trade, is this the final issue or is there another?
No, there's got to be at least one more. Okay. I would imagine it'll probably be.
So it's probably a 5-issue trade.
I would imagine,
more than likely. But you know, when Superman Batman, the Jeff Loeb series, was firing on all cylinders, it was awesome. You know, the first arc, the Supergirl arc. There's the Search for Kryptonite one, which wasn't Jeff Loeb. It was the guys who did Smallville and Supergirl. Anyway, this sounds like it's going to be a winner along those lines. And what's great about that is that there's nothing you necessarily need to read before it. Right. You don't necessarily have to continue afterwards. You just have a really solid Batman Superman story. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, that is it for this week. Another great week of comics.
And if Planet of the Apes and Star Trek is a Reese cup, which is the chocolate and which is the peanut butter? Your answer in the comments below.
Thanks for watching.